All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. I'm here with Jack Kelly, who is an incredible recruiter that I've come to meet, the founder of the Compliance Search Group in New York City, sort of a renaissance man. He's involved in multiple projects right now, as well as a startup called WeCruitr. I guess we'll talk about here in a little bit, but welcome, Jack. Thanks for...
That's a great lead-in. I love that. That's perfect. Renaissance man. I feel so fancy.
I couldn't think of a better term. I also wanted to, see as close as I could come to Jack. So yes. I figured I'd throw on the blazer today. None of you have ever seen me in the blazer, but
yeah, we're twinning. This is good. We look alike. We're like
right.
We're like brothers.
Right, exactly.
Perfect.
So you're extremely high caliber, and the closest I could come was a blazer for now. So tell us about you. Tell us about your start in recruiting. Tell us about how you started your firm and the history.
Sure. So I started out, 20-something plus years ago. So I was like 10 when I first started. I was like a prodigy recruiter.
Yeah.
I was in, sixth grade, and I was recruiting. So about 20-something years ago, I bet you this is like what a lot of people, at least here in the New York area, I find it, you fall into recruiting, like I didn't set out, to be a recruiter. It's not like I was a little kid and said, hey, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a recruiter. It didn't work that way. Mm-hmm. I pretty much failed at everything I did before then. I had all sorts of different jobs, tried different things, and I pretty much was a disaster in everything. Mm-hmm. And then I went to a recruiter who I would deal with, and he said, hey, Jack, would you be interested in recruiting? And, I had no idea about it, what was involved. And he told me a little bit about it. And then when he told me the fees that you could earn, I was like, this sounds interesting. Tell me more. And to be fair, I thought he was full of it because he would say, okay, if you play somebody, you're going to get 20, 25% of their salary. And I'm thinking, that doesn't sound right. That seems pretty high. So I cut that in half. I figured, all right, even if it's half of that, that's, maybe that's pretty good. So let me think about it. Mm. And as it happened, I had a good friend at the time who his childhood buddy ran one of the largest recruiting firms in New York. This guy, Ed Caligari. And maybe I could introduce you to him and you could have him on another one.
Sure.
And he invited me in and was really gracious with his time. And I looked around his office and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Mm. And since I was a kid, I always harbored ambitions to have my own business. And I'm like, if he could do it, he seems like a really nice guy. He seemed very much like me, down to earth, normal, he and I, regular guys, nothing special. I figured, wow, if he could do it, I could probably do this too.
Sure.
So I came home, told my wife, she goes nuts. And then hey, let me just try it, give it a few months, see if it can make it happen. If it can, great. If not, so be it.
Right.
And then I started and I kind of fell in love with it right away because it's one of those things where, you could be in a nice, comfortable office. You could just talk with people like you and I are talking, and you could do really well. You can make a lot of money doing it, and you can help people, which is the coolest thing ever. So, not many professions. Ben, think about it. Like, how many professions can you, have a job, do well at it, and then you make people's lives, man.
Right.
You get more money for them, more opportunity. They're miserable where they are, and they go somewhere else, and they're happy. I mean, it's a really cool thing. And from there on, I just said, hey, this is for me.
This is your thing, right? And you're creating impact. There's benevolence there. I mean, you're doing real things in the market. You're doing very well, but you're also you're accomplishing goals for yourself and for other people as well. And that's what's crazy about recruiting. So the thing about you, you started. You're just a regular old Jack, right? A literal regular old Jack. I mean, you kind of went into it, you found out about it, you got into it, you dipped your foot in the pool, and then you said, hey, this is kind of warm, let me jump in. And you got in, and just so everyone watching, realizes, you hear about, these $1 million billers and whatnot. Jack's north of that. This is we're talking to a very accomplished, I don't want to just say recruiter, founder of a very accomplished firm. Here, but most
I'm feeling good, man. You're making my day. This is great. I'm gonna stay on this all day long.
Yeah. I could do it all day. No, but really, I mean, so he kind of went into it, right? You went into it, and you really just kind of took off? I mean, because things, they just started to make sense and you kind of put the pieces together. I mean, did you have mentorship along the way?
Yes and no. So
Mm-hmm.
I started in this firm, and the guy who brought me in was the sweetest guy. And unfortunately, he was much older than myself, and he got sick, and his health declined. So it was really awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't help that, so he wanted to help, but he really wasn't able to.
Sure.
Then I had this other guy who actually came with me when I started the firm, who was miserable. Oh my God. But he would admit that he's miserable. Every time I was a candidate, he'd be the guy who said, no, that's my candidate. That's my candidate. And after a while, like, wait, these can't be all your candidate. I realize he just screwed me over.
Right, right.
All the time. So,
right.
yes, in a way, that's kind of mentoring, learning how,
Sure. Learning, learning
learn what happens.
Sure.
So that helps out.
So you took it all in.
Yeah. And then I guess just by absorbing it, just by absorbing it. And I find out like a lot of times you learn by just doing things,
Mm-hmm.
So just by talking to candidates, calling on, clients, trying to get clients, getting rejected, saying stupid stuff and embarrassing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
But just doing it again and again and again, you just start to get better at it.
Right.
Then also I find out it's so interesting you say like regular Jack, because I from early on, I decided I'm just going to be myself. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, hi there, Ben. This is Jack Kelly. Nice to meet you.
Right.
I'm just going to be, who I am. And if someone likes me, great. If they don't like me, that's fine. My feelings won't get hurt. And I think it would make prospective clients and candidates feel comfortable, because then they know, hey, I'm dealing with a real person. And to point out, I noticed this thing, Ben, is so different here in the New York area
Mm-hmm.
compared to the rest of the country and other countries. Most recruiters here, and I know I can't curse on your show, so I'll just say,
just for YouTube. I would love to. It's just for YouTube.
A lot of these guys here in New York are cutthroat jerks. They'd stab their grandmother in the back to do a deal. So it's a really ugly, nasty, brutal, competitive, industry.
Right.
Whereas I'm finding out other places it's not, which is fantastic. So, but I always set myself apart because I figured, hey, listen, let them do what they're going to do. I'm just going to do what I feel is right.
Sure.
What makes sense. I'm going to treat candidates right, clients right. And even if I lose deals here and there, I'd rather do that and live with myself and feel good about myself. And I can sleep at night because I know I'm doing the right thing by people.
Right.
I'm taking care of them. I'm trying, because I swear to God, when I try to get someone a job, I never push someone if like I feel the job's not right. If the job is right, I will try my hardest, because I'm going to believe, like, let's say I have something for you, Ben. I'm going to think I'm doing you a disservice if I don't get you that role, if I don't really encourage you to do it or try my best. I feel I'm going to let you down. You may not know it at the time, but a year later, you'll feel, oh, why did he push me for it?
Right.
So I really believe in my heart it's going to be right. I'm going to work my tail off to do it.
Right.
If I feel like I'm trying to push someone in the wrong job, I'm not going to bother.
Sure.
So I kind of early on, I started formulating, all right, here's how I'm going to run my business and do the best I can, but do it in a way I feel really comfortable doing.
Right.
Which makes it so much easier for me, because I could just flow.
Right.
I could just have like a conversation with you and flow and not have to, be somebody who I'm not.
Right, exactly. And I've heard before, that just being your genuine self, just being who you are, I mean, there's nobody else in the world like you, right? So, any given person just being themselves is one of the best weapons out there, right? Because there's nobody like you. There's nobody like you that has your tenacity, your ability, your smarts, all that. That's all you, right? And nobody can match that combo. And when you just put it all aside, be yourself, go forth, and just put your best effort forward, a lot of times you succeed. I mean, just by being yourself, right? Yep.
And that's what can I tell you, Ben, that's what I like about you, because I started, I joined your group and I watched your videos. I'm like, hey, this guy's authentic, man. He's so amped up. He's excited. He's happy what he's doing, and it shows. I'm like, this guy's great.
I appreciate that.
And I mean it, seriously. And then even if I don't see, can I tell you something? Even if I don't see the video, but I see the picture, the screenshots, I'm like, oh man, this is a guy who likes what he's doing, man. He's happy doing it. He's excited doing it. And I personally to surround myself with people like that.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And that's what's really fun about the group, is because there's a lot of people that are so supportive, and, that there's a huge knowledge base there, right? I think, 600, 700 people, I don't know what it is right now, but you know, hey, somebody have a split fee agreement, somebody have this, somebody have that. You ever dealt with a client like this? Somebody's got an answer like this or that, you know? And that supportiveness, like you mentioned, like, you know, it's not in New York City, you haven't been seeing it, but yeah, I mean, it's all over the place in the group, and it's kind of growing on the channel and stuff like that, which is cool. But, you know, super interested, just like for everybody watching that's going to watch this video in perpetuity on YouTube, archive forever. Like, you know, for you, you just started from the bottom and you rose the ranks, and you've done incredibly impressive things. I know you're not going to sit there and say, this is what I did and this is what I did, but I'll say it. You've done incredible things. You started your firm around 9/11 and you know, 2001, and you kind of went out and, like, you know, economically, I'm sure that might've been a little bit tough. Maybe not. I know a lot of businesses thrive out of, you know, disastrous.
Oh my God, it's brutal. First of all, the partner, I was a partner at the firm, but, you know, I guess they're partners and, you know, partners. I was, you know, down here partner.
Sure.
And the kind of guy who I dealt with, you know, it made me feel, you know what, I have to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, 2 young kids, my daughter was just born. My son was like 2, a little under 2. And I was like, hey, I came home, told my wife, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna start my own company because something I gotta do.
Sure.
She thought, like, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? 2 little kids here. Wait, so are you nuts? I remember speaking to my dad, and he was like, what are you doing? You're making a good living. What is wrong with you? And I said, you know what? I've always wanted to do my own business. I thought by being a partner I could, and it's not really working out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really cool with the way he does things, and God bless him, let him do what he wants to do. I'd rather do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, I'm going to do it. And then, boom, 9/11. And at the time, Dan, this is kind of, it's hard to understand, but when you saw those buildings collapsing, you didn't really think people were in there. Because at the time, you just thought everyone got out and it was okay. It was just the buildings. So, you know, I'm watching them fall down. I'm not thinking of the human cost because everybody thought, hey, they were all evacuated. But all I could think of is, these are the buildings where I would be sending people to interview. You know, Citigroup, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, Barclays, you know, JP Morgan, all those places, and you're seeing them literally crumbling right before your eyes.
Unbelievable.
And I just said, I'm doing starting my own business, but what do you do? So
right.
I had no choice, you know, so you go back into work. Nothing was going on for a while because then you realized it was just horrific. The human toll was just terrible.
Yeah.
Just a terrible tragedy. But, you know, got there and really started from worse than zero. You know, you started from just a complete, utter disaster. The economy was a mess. Stock market was the mess. You know, the job market was non-existent, particularly on Wall Street. And then slowly but surely, just grind away. You know, just every day, grind away.
Right.
And, you know, a week goes by, a month goes by, 6 months, a year, and then, you know, slowly you build and you build and you build. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to get something happening.
Right.
And so I know a lot of the people in your group are starting out, and there's always going to be, you know, curveballs thrown at you. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be bad breaks. There's always going to be terrible things that happen. But I can tell you, you know, if you have the fortitude and you have the stomach and you don't want to give up and you have that grit to keep going, it'll work. Because that, I find out, is really what it takes at the end of the day, Ben. It has to be that you have to say to yourself, hey, man, I want this, and I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
I know I'm going to get my ass kicked time and time again, and I'm going to screw up time and time again and make mistakes time and time again, and people will screw me over time and time again, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm not going to let that pull me down. I'm not going to give into that. You know, I'm going to just take that instead of letting it overcome me. I'm going to say, I'm going to use that as fuel, you know, to fire me up to move to the next one. You know, learn from it, keep growing. And I think for your audience, you know, if I had to give them one lesson or one piece of advice, that would be it, is that, you know what, you don't have to be the best at it. I'm certainly not the best recruiter. I'm not the best looking guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the most charismatic person, but I do have the work ethic to just keep hustling and trying and moving and making things happen, and have the thick skin not to let things stop me. So for the folks who are listening to it in your audience, I got to tell you, if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling beaten up, that's okay. It's going to happen. It's going to happen more often than not. But you can absolutely get past it and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I think that's what everyone in the audience needs to hear, really. I mean, coming from somebody who started their own firm, put out their own shingle, middle of 9/11, rose to the top. You're obviously, from our chats, you've done extremely well. Working in the fintech and finance world on Wall Street. It's a lot different than what a lot of people in the group are doing, unless they're in New York City, and maybe we don't know. We'll find out in the comments. But overall, you become extremely successful. What's like, I don't know, halfway through, or let's say like maybe first 2 years into your career, what's like the biggest deal you ever dropped, like fee wise, like biggest fee you ever collected?
I don't know the exact fee, but probably, maybe $100,000, something like that,
$100,000 fee.
Yeah. But, give or take,
Right.
because sometimes, the folks we deal with, and it runs the gamut. When I first started, I had the lowest job, because what would happen, I'd call up a place, let's say like Citigroup, and they're like, they get called by everybody. So they'll give me the worst, hardest to fill jobs, because, all right, here, thinking I'll just go away. You know what I mean? Hey, let me get Jack off my back, give me this job, right? Sure. And then I place that job, and it'd be very low on the totem pole, right?
Sure.
And then, do a few of them, and like, all right. And then, get a little better job. And then, keep doing it. And then you kind of level up by showing that, hey, I could do this. So let me do something more. And then they feel, all right, hey, this guy, he'll work, on these hard to fill jobs. We'll give him a shot, and he'll try and he'll do it. And they respect that and appreciate it. So it really doesn't matter, the size of what you're doing, because it's in fact, it's probably better that you start out at a certain level, like what I did, because then you just learn the ropes at that level. And then as you learn, you make mistakes, you learn from them, and you keep just kind of getting yourself higher and higher and higher,
right?
As you're going along. And then after a while, you feel comfortable. And then I feel comfortable at any level dealing with people.
There you get that comfort level. So one of the biggest things I think that we confront in, the Facebook group and definitely on the YouTube channel, a lot of people talk about is client acquisition, right? So finding clients. How do you find clients? What's your approach to finding clients? Cold email, cold call, right. What's the best? And I think a good question for you would be, someone starting from the bottom, wanting to rise to the totem pole where they can, just get a nice flow going, a client every couple of weeks or a client every week or whatever it might be. People really want to know how to get clients. And I think you're the man to ask, what would the advice you'd be giving to it, like a brand newbie?
I'll preface this though, Ben. I was very lucky because I stumbled across a niche that really blew up in a good way. So I got to say that, I love to take credit for everything, but sometimes in life you got to admit, hey, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Oftentimes in life you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. It doesn't work out, but every once in a while it's got to be the right place. So what I would suggest is, what I did, I ended up specializing in a certain niche, which is compliance. And compliance is basically kind of like the cops on Wall Street. These are the people who are going to make sure there's not insider trading, that there's not money laundering, that there's not Ponzi schemes, things like that. And in New York, where it's really the home of it, it was considered like a lower end back office. Who cares about that area? So my antenna was up saying, hey, wait a minute, everybody else is kind of going for the sexy traders, investment bankers, and the high profile things so they could brag to their family and friends, hey, look what I'm dealing with. And I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I don't care. Let them do that. And if this is overlooked, hey, I could be that go-to person. So after a while, I fashioned myself as being kind of that go-to person, and fashioned my company to really highly specialize in this area of compliance, legal, risk, audit, financial crimes, which at the time nobody was doing.
Sure.
So that was cool. So I was able to kind of build and build and build. But then what happened with the financial crisis, with all scandals, that it blew up. And there was such a need for these people that it was just like amazing.
Wow.
Stop.
Right place, right time.
So to answer your question now, like in a long-winded way, is that I personally, what I found helpful is to find a niche that you could really excel at. So then when you go in to call a client, So let's say you're a client. I'm going to call on you and say, hey, Ben, this is Jack Kelly, Compliance Search. I know you're looking for a such and such and such. I specialize in this area. I've been doing it for so many years, placed thousands of people. I'd love to help you, So you feel, you have that background, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and then, you on the other hand, as a hiring manager, you're like, all right, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. So, let's give him a shot. Let
Sure.
him do it.
Sure.
And to start out, it's a little hard because you got to do it, but then also what happens too, if you kind of specialize in that niche, then you really know it. Then you understand it, the intricacies of it, who is good, who's not. You start knowing the players. And then what happens, they start coming to you. So it's not only that you have to always reach out to a client or prospective client. They're going to come to you because they're going to know, hey, Ben specializes in X. So I have a job. I know Ben is the man in that area. I'm going to call Ben. So just as much as you're reaching out, you're going to get people, calling you.
Right.
Refer over.
And then you get too much business.
Yeah. Well, it's never too much because, you just have to. So, but that actually is another thing that, and I know a lot of your audience, they're, solo practitioners, but I would suggest too, in addition to trying to find a niche where you could be an expert in it. And then also by being an expert, you feel better about yourself too. Because then you feel, you know what, I'm not just a mile long and an inch deep. I know an area. I know it really well. And I feel really confident about it, really comfortable about it. So then when you're speaking to a candidate or a hiring manager, they pick up on that, hey, this person has skin in the game. They know this area. So I really respect their opinion. I'm going to listen to them because they do it day in and day out, as opposed to like, hey, this is the first time I'm only doing X, or this is the first time I'm doing Y, that you know this area well.
Right.
So I do that. But then I would, I respect and understand about solo entrepreneurs, but in my own personal experience, I found it really helpful to work with other people. Now, it could be I'm a very sociable person, so I enjoy the banter and working with people, but I found it really helpful to surround myself with other people who have complementary skill sets. So whereas, I think I'm a good salesperson, a good marketer, but I think I'm really bad at a lot of other things. So like,
you compensate.
So I have Christine and you saw Nicole when we were setting it up, who are awesome at being focused and being analytical, and making sure things work. Like on my own, I swear to you, I would probably couldn't figure out the stupid Zoom. And, I would screw it up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I need to surround myself with people like that.
Sure.
You know how we mentioned that guy who would steal the candidates for me? That guy, Mike? So he was great at being the ornery bad cop to my good cop. Because I'm a pretty nice, easygoing guy.
Right.
He was an ornery mean guy. So things like that in recruiting help. So like sometimes you have a candidate or you have a hiring manager or a client you're working on who's difficult, and I could turn into that guy, Mike, and say, Mike, can you deal with Ben? Man, he's so difficult. He's driving me crazy. And I know I'm going to just lose my temper and I'm going to argue and it doesn't get done. Can you call him? And he'll be like, yeah, all right, let me take care of it. And he'll take care of it. And so it would really help out.
Sure.
Then another person who, started with me, another guy by name is Mike, who was a great sourcer. So he enjoyed really going after and getting candidates. Right. Where I enjoyed dealing with the clients. Right. So it was a great combination. Right. So I know a lot of the people in your group, in our groups, I'm part of your group, are doing it themselves. But I would suggest maybe keeping an open eye. If you don't have the money to hire, but maybe you find somebody who you're compatible with, who you get along with, who you feel this person seems pretty cool, pretty nice. Maybe just team up. Say, hey, let's pool our resources. You know Absolutely. What? You have 5 clients. I have 5 clients. Between the 2, we have 10. You have the amount of resumes I have between. Wow, we have a lot. Yeah. And then I would pick out somebody who has different skill sets than you do. So if somebody is good with clients, maybe you find a good sourcer. Right. If somebody is, maybe a little bit more introverted, you find someone a little bit more extroverted. Sure. And then you bolt on those people, and it gives you, and 1 and 1 makes 5, because then you're going to kind of compensate for everyone's weaknesses. So right. So team atmosphere, complementing each other. And there's so many things that can pivot off of that. I mean, you're talking about, surrounding yourself with, 5 certain people, right? They all have certain skills. I mean, there's multiple benefits from that. Not only do they complement your business and supplement the business, but, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with, interact with, et cetera, right? So if you're targeting those individuals, like if I hung around with you, Jack, for a week straight, I'd probably be, 50%
15 points IQ higher. Or, you know, I'd probably
sick of me if you say, Jack, would you shut up already?
So
leave me alone.
We want to talk about this. You have a startup. It's called WeCruitr. And let's spell that out.
WeCruitr.
Okay.
WeCruitr.com. WeCruitr.com.
And we're going to throw a link to it in the description. Yeah. This is really, really, really cool. And this is kind of like well, I'll let you explain it. It's a startup Jack has started, and I think with a couple team members, and it's super cool for basically engaging, I think pretty much individual recruiters that specify in a certain niche or whatnot with specific candidates, and it saves a ton of time for people and cuts out a bunch of BS. And just give us a little.
Yes, the deal. What I've been finding for the last few years, the whole interview process is just horrible. You know, where candidates, you know, at any level, you have to fill out these very glitchy applications that crash while you're doing it, ask for all this personal data, and then you just have to put the resume that has the same thing, you know, anyway. And then after you're sending the application, you don't hear back. You know, you don't even get a courtesy email. You don't have anything. If you go on interviews, you get ghosted. Maybe you go on an interview, you don't hear back for 3 months. It's just really terrible. I think what happened is this, then, you know, they put so much technology in these companies and portals and ATS systems, they thought that would be the answer, and making life miserable for candidates. Mm-hmm. So I figured, I'm the type of guy, rather than complaining about it, I figured, let me try to figure out to do something about it. So with WeCruitr, what the goal is, or one of the goals is to do this, have this platform, right? So picture this, the average person, let's say you're a mid-level person or whatever, you're working, your spouse is working, you have young kids, you're hiking into the city, and you don't have the time to do this. You don't have the time to go on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, you know, LinkedIn, and do everything you're supposed to do. You just want to go online, find 2 or 3 good recruiters who could help you with the search. So let's say there's a person in Seattle who is that model, busy, a lot going on. They need someone to help. They're going to go on site. They're going to see Ben on there and maybe a couple of other, you know, Seattle-based, you know, recruiters. Say, hey, ping them. Hey, here's who I am. Can you help me with the search? And maybe if it's compatible, hey, now you have 2 or 3 recruiters looking out for you, helping you out with your search. You know, and you could go about your job, go about your life. You can still apply and do things, but at least you know you have. It's like having your own sports agent. You know what I mean? It's having your own, you know, agent going to bat for you day in, day. And it's a unique thing that's really not out there.
There's nothing like it out there. That's what I was going to say. It's unique. There's nothing like it out there because, you know, I mean, Facebook's Facebook, it's a directory, whatever, you know, and it's connecting your friends and family. But what kind of network is out there where it literally is strictly for candidate recruiter? Let's go. Let's do work. Together. That's it.
And plus, it also empowers the recruiter.
Yeah.
Because everything I'm saying, like, I don't know if you use Indeed or not, but Indeed, they said to recruiters back in the day, come join us, and they'd highlight us and get it. And they're like, you know what? Hell with you guys. We don't want you anymore. You're out of here.
Yeah.
And then with a lot of companies too, you could see they try to squeeze out the recruiters. So to me, I'm thinking this will put back the power in the hands of the recruiters.
Yes.
Because if we have a good platform that highlights, you know, features recruiters, candidates who get the deal now, they know if I go right to the company, they're not going to give me the courtesy of a response.
Right.
I'm going to get lost in the portal. I'm going to get lost in their ATS system.
Right.
It sucks. It's miserable. It's terrible. Absolutely. Hey, if I find these recruiters, if I have a choice, I'm going to find Ben on the site, go to Ben, because and we're all big boys and girls here. We know how it works. You know, he's financially incentivized to placement, where the HR person couldn't care less if I get the job or not, but Ben does care. I'm going to see Ben, and he's going to go to bat for me. So in addition to connecting him, it really, I think, will give some more power to the recruiters, because they, you know, if it works the way I want to do, they're going to get the best candidates before they go to the companies, because they'd rather have someone like you, Ben, represent them and go to bat for them than just being just one other person sends a resume and it goes nowhere.
100%. Yeah. And there's a total need. Like you mentioned, like if you apply, you know, here to Microsoft on their ATS or Nordstrom or God forbid Amazon, whatever, you're lost, right? You're lost. You're gone. You're literally in the cloud, and literally for a while, and you won't get found. But if it you know, and listen, everybody, Jack's not paying me to talk about this. Like, we're not. This is just Jack's cool startup, but there's a need for this thing. Like you connect a recruiter with a candidate that wants somebody to work on their behalf, or 2 or 3 recruiters to work on their behalf. They're financially incentivized, and that will totally pan out. I think the concept is that, the two parties just need to get it right. The recruiter needs to identify, like, hey, this is going to grab me, some candidates, open up some doors that I can pro market and whatnot. And then the candidate, the sophisticated candidate needs to say, hey, I want to get some people working for me. Boom, boom, boom. Sign them up. Here you go. Blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, for the people in the group, I guess, as recruiters, they can hop on and check it out. Yeah. You've got a bunch of users already, right? So there's a bunch of people kind of like, spinning around on it.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's still in the beta test mode, because like, I don't want to be arrogant to say, hey, here's our site. This is it. It's the best site ever. So what we've been doing is beta testing, meaning that it's up and running, but we're still working on it as we go. So I would definitely encourage, just a shameless plug for everybody that you're join and come aboard. But not only that, to let me know their feedback. My feelings won't be hurt. Like if they say, hey, Jack, this is a really stupid feature. Why do you have it? Or how come you don't have this other feature? This would be super cool for me. Because that's really what I'm trying to do at this stage, is to get people to check it out and get feedback what would help them. You know what I mean? What would make their life easier, make their life as a recruiter, better, so we could put those features in there.
Right. Wherever you're at in the country, I think if you hop on the site now in the beta test and you get on there and you get a nice profile and you set yourself up, put your bio on there and get everything. I mean, you might be at a real advantage being set up, being one of the first people as a recruiter up on the site now, rather than like a year later.
Of course, because what am I going to do? People around there, I'm going to sponsor them to show, hey, check out Ben.
Right. They're going to climb up. Right. Yeah.
So look at him.
Yep.
Look what he has to offer, and make sure your profile is really super kick-ass.
Right.
Hey, look at this guy here.
Right. All these candidates are going to be coming straight to you and just,
That's the idea, man. See, that's exactly the idea. So they stand up and go, hey, this guy Ben looks like a really nice guy. He has a video, he has this, video podcast. He's on YouTube. He seems like a really down-to-earth, normal guy. I'm going to send my resume to him instead of just going to a company that they couldn't care less about.
Sure. Exactly. Right. Financial incentive. Always follow the money, right? So they know how it works. People figured out how it works, at the end of the day. And if a recruiter's working on your behalf, you're in good hands, most of the time, 99% of the time, overall.
It's always going to be, any professional, it's always going to be a bad apple here.
Right. Right. But most of the time, in general, you're going to be in decent hands. And, especially, with good people like you doing great things, big things over on the East Coast, New York City. And, to everybody else watching, Jack is somebody to aspire to. This is a man who's accomplished a lot of things, incredibly impressive, things that you've done, the things that you're doing right now. Honestly, really, really honored that you even took the time out to just chat with us today.
My pleasure.
And have a little quick conversation.
My pleasure. And I'll tell you this too. You feel free to put my phone number on there. So if anyone ever just has a question, they want to bounce it off of me, I'm in the group, so they can hit me up there. But if they just want to talk privately and say, hey, Jack, I have this issue. What do you think?
Sure.
I'm happy to help them out and brainstorm and give them any advice or suggestions.
That's incredibly generous of you. Yeah, no. So what we'll do is we'll YouTube this. Yeah. We're going to put it up in the Facebook group. We'll throw your info in there. We're going to link WeCruitr.com. Everybody should go on and create a profile for sure, and then give feedback. And you'll be set if you hop on now rather than a year. I know I set up my profile a week ago, I think.
Yes.
And so I'm just waiting. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. So awesome to have you. Awesome to chat with
Thank
you.
So much.
I really appreciate it. So we'll probably have this conversation soon again.
Excellent.
But I really appreciate having this one. All right.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.